Time for the hot topic of the hour. It is now day 37 of this government shutdown. President Trump again urging the Senate to end with the ending of the filibuster to get things going. But Senate Majority Leader John Thune says it is not happening. The breaking news this morning is the FAA is now being forced to reduce air traffic levels at 40 key airports beginning tomorrow morning if no deal is reached. Democrats, meanwhile, are riding high after the blue sweep in Tuesday night's elections. But the Trump administration is responding with the fight has just begun. New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani meeting with Big Apple executives, business executives, as employers and residents are worried about his effect on the economy and obtaining federal money. The president discussing all of this with Bret Baier on Special Report last night. Watch.
I thought that New Jersey would do better. I didn't think that Virginia was going to do very well. I didn't think the candidate, didn't really have my support. The Cuomo situation, it's just he had too many things against him. I'm so torn because I would like to see the new mayor do well because I love New York. For 1,000 years, communism has not worked. Communism or the concept of communism has not worked. I tend to doubt it's going to work this time.
At one point he says, turn the volume up.
So hear me, President Trump, when I say this. To get to any of us, you will have to get through all of us.
How do you respond to that?
A very dangerous statement for him to make, actually. He has to be a little bit respectful of Washington because if he's not, he doesn't have a chance of succeeding. And I want to make him succeed. I want to make the city succeed.
Did you see reaching out to him?
I would say he should reach out to us.
Is there a deal that can be made to end this government shutdown, in your mind?
Well, I think the Democrats have become radicalized. I think, this never happened before. They always extend. An extension is very easy. It's done all the time. You extend, sometimes you extend 4 or 5 times. I mean, they become radicalized lunatics, actually, in a true sense. They should automatically extend, and we will make a deal as soon as they do. As soon as they do, we'll make a deal.
Well, we are now watching the impact on the economy, and I want to get your take on this, Mark, because once you've got air traffic cutting a capacity and flight stopping, this really gets to what I've been worried about these last couple of days, and that is a serious impact on the economy. What do you think?
Without a doubt, but it's also going to affect just family relationships. I mean, we're like 2 weeks away from Thanksgiving travel starting to pick up, and the government is still shut down. We lack air traffic controllers. And Maria, last Thursday, after I wrapped up the show, it took me 14 hours to get home.
Wow.
Back to Cleveland.
14 hours.
Went to the airport, sat on the plane for 4 hours. They deplaned us. I walked down to Hertz, rented a car, drove home. My back is still in pain today from making that drive last week. And you can't be an effective business owner or sales representative or whatever it may be if you can't get to where you need to be.
These are the kinds of stories that will trigger others to cancel their plans, cancel travel, and again, impact the GDP, broadly speaking. But Chris, I mean, have you ever seen anything like this? And we've never seen a shutdown this long.
Yeah, just historically, we've never seen one this long. And with the flights, it's finally going to maybe impact some people who have been looking at the shutdown and thinking, well, the government doesn't really affect my life. This isn't that big of a deal. The sob stories from Democrats are largely focused on early retirees not getting a subsidy for their health care. For folks like me, it's like, why should I care? Keep the government shut down. Now you might start thinking a little bit differently if you're thinking about, like me, traveling with my 2-year-old back to Ohio to visit grandma and grandpa, and you're thinking about how much chaos that might create. It might make some people a little bit more concerned about the shutdown than they probably were before.
You're right. Look, we got to talk about the SCOTUS hearing yesterday. The president's legal team defending his use of emergency tariff powers yesterday in an historic Supreme Court hearing. The president did not attend, but Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer were in the room. Greer will join us shortly. Bessent posted this to X. President Trump has issued the IEPA authority to address the fentanyl crisis, bring U.S. back from the edge of trade policy, secure rare earths from China, and curtailed purchases of Russian oil. all urgent national security issues. Greer said this, quote, "For decades, America's global competitiveness was eroding under the weight of one-sided trading relationships. The president acted with urgency to address this national economic emergency." All the details are coming up this morning when I speak with U.S. Trade Rep Jamieson Greer here at 8 a.m., so do join us. Here's what the president told Brett last night.
It would be devastating for our country if we lost that. Devastating. I think it's one of the most important, maybe the most, but one of the most important cases in the history of our country. I think taking tariffs away so that we can have national security. So, as an example, President Xi, he hit us with the rare earths, and I hit him with a tariff, 100% tariff on top of all the other tariffs that you're paying. And they called in 10 minutes and we made a deal.
You're saying you're happy with what you came out of it.
If I didn't have tariffs, we would right now, the entire world would be in a depression. Because, that wasn't a threat against us. That was a threat against the entire world. I did this for the world.
Mark, one of the issues here, I think, for markets is the fact that already this administration has collected almost $200 billion in tariff revenue. The U.S. is going to have to pay that money back if this really goes against them.
Yes. And, obviously that helps to close the deficit somewhat. And that's really helped to propel stocks higher.
Right.
But,
it's funny. First, everybody was upset about tariffs.
Yeah.
There was all that craziness and, hysteria. And now they realize they need that money for the deficit and debt.
And then you realize that the inflation that was supposed to happen in response to tariffs really never happened. I mean, there was a slight one-time price adjustment upward, but that's it. Now, what I'll tell you is that my take on this whole Supreme Court deal is that they're not trying to figure out if Trump can impose tariffs, but how he can impose tariffs. And I said this on this show months and months and months ago. I believe that President Trump and his administration came into Liberation Day with a backup plan already in place. Section 122 will immediately allow them to impose 15% tariffs on every single country for 150 days, and then Congress can vote to continue it. Beyond that, Section 338 will allow him to impose up to 50% tariffs on countries that discriminate against us.
Right.
Currency manipulation, all those kind of things. So 12 months from today, we're going to be exactly where we are right now.
And on top of that, he's also got Section 301 that he can use for unfair trade practices. Yep. So one of the things that other countries use is having incredibly low environmental standards that they use as an inherent subsidy because we're cleaner, we do it better, we can impose those kinds of tariffs. So he's got plenty of tools at his disposal.
There's also Section 112. Did you mention 112?
Nope, nope.
So there's 112, which is a balance of payments authority 1974 law that allows the president to impose an additional 15% tariff on imports for 150 days. So, yes, he has backup plans, and I don't think tariffs are going anywhere, but it still will be a negative when it first comes out, if, in fact, that's where this is going. We'll see. We don't know how the justices are going to
Exactly.